Evolution. The abyssal locust and dark curse locust have once again undergone evolution. Not only that, but also bred the toxic blast infernal worm. Evolved into earth blast abyssal locust and shadow dark curse locust. Just now, a genuine deity, in order to thank Wu, specially sent him 50 top quality level 2 holy relics. Wu even selected 2 items from them, the most suitable holy relics for locust evolution. The lava sphere possesses earth and fire elements that can enhance the defense and resistance of family dependents, improving their restorative ability. Shadow Nail has the shadow element, which enables compatible family dependents to comprehend the skill Shadow Nail, which restricts the opponent's movement by shooting nails at their shadow, causing an immobilizing effect. Wu immediately loaded these 2 holy relics into the realm core. At this moment, suddenly a strong gale swept across the entire sky. The next moment, 2 mighty forces collided in the sky, causing an explosion. The aftermath then spread to every corner of the realm. Soon Wu felt it. All the locust family dependents were subjected to waves of impact from the source of life. About 80% of the locust family dependents' bodies underwent mutations. The exoskeleton of the abyssal locusts became thicker. The dark curse locusts have acquired the level 2 skill Shadow Nail. But before he could check the locust data, a notification sound rang out in the realm. The participants were instructed to enter the arena and prepare for the match. Shortly after, Wu teleported to the bloody arena based on the notification sound. Now he has a greater grasp on this demigod battle. The arena was already packed with people at this time. Cheers from the audience could be heard from all directions. Elephant Lord, show them the mighty power of your demigod. Crush them. Elephant Lord looked disdainful. Today must be my lucky day. I actually encountered such a presumptuous divinity creature on the bloody arena. Newbie, get ready to face death with your family dependents. Although I appreciate your courage to challenge the demigod, that is not strength in the end. Today, let you deeply understand the terror of the demigod. Wu is extremely speechless, feeling that he talks too much nonsense. Just then, Elephant Lord raised his arm and shouted, "Come out, my giant mammoth legion!" As his words fell, a massive 74,009-meter tall giant war mammoth appeared before them. And leading the way was a hero's giant thunder mammoth. The mammoth legion moved forward, causing the entire earth to tremble. However, Wu was not intimidated by this group of mammoths. Instead, he directly opened the portal. Let the endless swarms of locusts surge out like a tide. Except for the suicide locust and lava locust. Wu has bred 3 types of otherworldly life locusts. They are toxic blast infernal worm, earth blast abyssal locust, and shadow dark curse locust. Elephant Lord seems touched. Otherworldly life. Is this your true power? I am starting to feel somewhat anticipated. The battle finally broke out soon. The giant mammoth legion charged towards the swarm of locusts. The leading thunder mammoth spewed out arcs of electricity from its trunk. Roast all the incoming locusts into charcoal. Wu is also unwilling to show weakness. The skill hit a regular locust. Immediately sent out dark curse locust to launch an attack. Only to see a large group of shadow dark curse locusts launching attacks from the rear. At the same time, shooting out level 2 shadow nails from the tail. In the opponent's unguarded situation. The shadow nail with a shadow element was pierced into the shadow of thunder mammoth without any defense. Although dark curse locust's strength is far inferior to the hero. However, when a certain number of shadow nails are released, even thunder mammoth will only be punished to stand. Every second when the opponent is immobilized is very precious. Wu quickly commanded Toxic Blast Infernal Worm to launch an attack. Toxic Thorn stabbed towards the head of Thunder Mammoth. However, they only lightly scratched the skin, which felt more like a tickle than an actual attack. The Elephant Lord couldn't stop laughing. Even if you can turn locusts into otherworldly life, so what? My giant Thunder Mammoth, even if it stands still, you can't harm it at all. But Wu showed a meaningful smile. Gently countered with a question. Are you sure? At the next moment, the toxic blast infernal worm suddenly exploded. The body emitted a large amount of toxic fog, instantly enveloping the nearby area. Witnessing his hero being continuously bombarded while immobilized, Elephant Lord started to panic. The giant mammoth legion rolled out to protect the giant thunder mammoth. Seeing the massive mammoth approaching mightily from the rear, Wu plans to use quantity to overwhelm. He immediately orders bursting locust to intercept. Soon, amidst the massive bombardment, a large number of elite giant mammoth legion suffered significant casualties. Elephant Lord's face couldn't help but turn grave. Had to use 3 types of savage divine magic. It is heavy armor, blood energy and healing. After consuming most of the MP, those heavily wounded giant mammoths, they stood up again at full health. Defense also became stronger. Even if a swarm of lava locusts comes, it can only reduce the defense of divine magic heavy armor, unable to inflict effective damage on the giant mammoth. Seeing the situation reversed, the Elephant Lord becomes proud again. Being able to force me to use divine magic has already proven your strength. When I have killed half of your family dependents, I will allow you to surrender. Wu found this statement quite amusing. Do you think this is all of my trump cards? The man awakened the weakest locust family dependents in history. But he took the lead in a game that was beyond his level. Demigod even used divine magic to turn the situation around. Put a layer of blood energy shell on his own giant mammoth legion. Resisted all locust self-explosion damage. Just when the demigod Elephant Lord was looking smug. But suddenly Wu gave an oracle. Listen to my command, he said. The Minotaur clan mobilized. Soon, the portal behind him was violently pushed open. A horde of Minotaur legion, numbering in the thousands, charged into the battlefield. Over 2,000 Minotaurs in total fought fiercely against 74,000 giant mammoths. The scene was truly shocking. The sudden turn of events made the Elephant Lord lose his composure. The Minotaurs are extremely powerful demonic creatures among the Infernal Depths race. How could they willingly follow orders? Without waiting for him to ponder further, the leading hero, Minotaur Shaman, has already begun to wreak havoc, ruthlessly slaughtering within the giant mammoth legion. Seeing the situation turn for the better, Wu summons the skeleton tribe again. After the teleport gate opens this time, it turns out to be a sea of bones. The terrifying aura spreads throughout the entire arena. Above it, a constructed throne slowly emerged. Seated in the center was the Lord entity. On the left and right were the Necromancer and Necromancer Summoner. Wu jumped directly onto the throne, instantly breaking the very solemn atmosphere. Necromancer Summoner. It's up to you next. Received instructions from the gods. Hero Necromancer Summoner immediately leaped into action. Floated above the giant mammoth legion. And then raised the wand in hand. Cast group revival power towards the fallen giant mammoth legion below. The next moment, a large number of skeleton mammoths broke free from their flesh bindings and stood up. Without flesh and blood, they lost their noses. But their ivory became even sharper. Elephant Lord is still stubborn. Damn skeleton. Like a sticky toffee that can't be shaken off. But don't think that this will make a demigod yield. The giant war mammoth activates the skill War Trample, followed by nearly 300 giant war mammoths raging with red eyes, trampling the earth in a charging stance, instantly smashing the skeleton mammoths, blocking their way into pieces, turning them into a pile of broken bones. Little did they know that this was the moment Wu and others had been waiting for. He immediately ordered the entire Minotaur clan to withdraw. Then he commanded the Necromancer to take the position. The next moment, countless pieces of bones began to restlessly stir, gathering towards the direction of the Necromancer. Shortly after, a skeleton giant about 20 meters tall appeared in front of them. With the Necromancer as its core, it became the most powerful hero on the battlefield. With one step, it stomped and crushed a large group of giant mammoths. The Elephant Lord was stunned. Such a powerful hero made cold sweat appear on his forehead. He had no choice but to use MP again, doubling. Enlarge his only hero, Giant Thunder Mammoth. Receive the blessing of divine magic. Giant Thunder Mammoth's size wildly increases. In the blink of an eye, it becomes a colossal creature. The Giant Thunder Mammoth initiates a thunder charge. It quickly speeds forward and thrusts its two ivory tusks, crackling with lightning, towards the target. To my surprise, the skeleton giant caught hold of the Thunder Mammoth's tusks. Its skeletal body was not harmed by the electric shock in the slightest. And then, in front of everyone's eyes, Skeleton Giant made a handsome turn, and then gave Thunder Mammoth a shoulder throw. The blood energy shell on the body of the Giant Thunder Mammoth that was thrown to the ground shattered on the spot. But the body itself did not suffer much damage. Not waiting for Thunder Mammoth to get up, Skeleton Giant struck again with a huge fist. Level 1 skill. Heavy punch. This is a fight to the death between giants and behemoths. Skeleton Giant knocks down Giant Thunder Mammoth. Want to take the opportunity to use the level 1 skill Heavy Fist, but is entangled by the opponent's agile trunk. Then Thunder Mammoth rolled over and stood up in one smooth motion. Then, relying on its powerful body and impact force once again, sent the 20-meter-tall Skeleton Giant flying out. The Thunder Mammoth seized the opportunity, lifted its hooves, resembling stone pillars. Want to end this match with a deadly trample. But the Skeleton Giant reacted faster. By a hair's breadth, narrowly dodged this deadly kick. If trampled, it would definitely turn into a ground of shattered bones in an instant. Soon after, Skeleton Giant delivered another heavy punch, smashing towards the head of Thunder Mammoth. The powerful blow made its head buzz instantly. Wu saw the opportunity ripe. Immediately issued an oracle. It's now. Solve it. Only saw Skeleton Giant riding on the back of Thunder Mammoth. Then punch after punch smashed onto the elephant's head. Let it lose the strength to resist. Later, the Skeleton Giant stopped bombarding and instead grabbed its tusks. Only heard an angry roar. The Giant Thunder Mammoth proudly displayed its ivory tusks. It was unexpectedly broken by the Skeleton Giant. This is truly a disgrace in its existence as an elephant. At this moment, Elephant Lord is completely stunned. He never imagined that the hero he had worked so hard to cultivate would be so fragile. However, the Skeleton Giant seems unwilling to let it go. Once again, it grabbed another tusk of the Thunder Mammoth with its bone hand. The next moment, the Skeleton Giant violently snapped the poor ivory in half once again. At this moment, the Thunder Mammoth felt like crying without tears. Wu on the side was also surprised. He only intended to have the necromancer learn some close combat skills, without expecting it to have such a brutal effect on the Skeleton Giant. After the Thunder Mammoth's two tusks were broken, it lost its fighting spirit. Before long, it was severely beaten and kicked back by the Skeleton Giant. Its massive body was thrown back like a piece of garbage. Fortunately, the Elephant Lord subconsciously took a few steps back. This avoided an accident. He, who lost face, immediately issued an oracle. All the giant mammoths attacked together. Surrounded. Avenge Thunder Mammoth. However, facing a large number of giant mammoths' attacks, Skeleton Giant stands in place without any sign of panic. It performed all the close-quarter combat skills it had learned. What's the shoulder throw, back throw, low leg kick, and leg sweep? All are practiced to the fullest. In its eyes, the giant mammoth, which is only 7 to 8 meters high, is like a toy. It doesn't even know how many it has smashed to death with just one slap. However, having a large quantity is not entirely useless. Hundreds of thousands of giant mammoths charging fearlessly into battle, continuously attacking the foot of the Skeleton Giant. Eventually, after killing tens of thousands of giant mammoths, energy was depleted. The body of the Skeleton Giant shattered once again, turning into a pile of broken bones. Witnessing the Skeleton Giant collapse, Wu immediately ordered the Minotaur clan to charge into the battlefield again. the Minotaur clan rushed in and rescued the necromancer. Soon, both sides were engaged in another melee. Some mammoths were torn apart, some minotaurs were trampled flat, and countless locusts were smashed into mincemeat. At the same time, the skeleton tribe also joined the fray. The necromancer summoner and skeleton knight together cast the revival power. They turned all the dead giant mammoths into one. Skeleton mammoth legion unafraid of death. Continuously cycling back and forth. Wu's forces not only did not decrease, but instead increased more and more. So much so that in the subsequent 3 hours of chaos, Elephant Lord became increasingly frustrated as he fought on. Originally, it was 740,000 against 2,600. Later, it developed into 720,000 against 26,000. Then, it became 680,000 against 60,000. The enemy keeps increasing their numbers. In contrast, Elephant Lord's family dependents are now less than 1,000th of the opponents. This can definitely be described as a game-breaking domination. In the end, after 5.5 hours of competitive matches, Demigod Elephant Lord's mentality finally collapsed. He had to reluctantly announce his surrender. A high-level challenge finally comes to an end. The flesh and blood on the ground were quickly absorbed, and then all aggregated together into a fragment of the realm core. Wu couldn't help but smirk secretly. The realm core fragments obtained by defeating the demigod were indeed even more substantial. But just at this moment, a system voice came from the ear. "Student Wu, the Bloody Arena staff invite you to meet." Without waiting for his agreement or refusal, a teleport entrance descends from the sky. Surround Wu's divine consciousness. After a brief moment of weightlessness, he opened his eyes once again to find himself in a room. The serious voice sounded again. "Don't be afraid. We are the organizers of the Bloody Arena. We won't harm you. We have watched your match. Although there was some luck involved, it also proved your power. You are eligible to become the successor of the Bloody Arena. The Bloody Arena is a test designed to select a successor. Any player who can win the challenge is eligible to become the successor of the Bloody Arena. So, are you willing to become the successor?" Such a sudden question. Lev would be taken aback, unconsciously starting to make calculations in the heart, exploring the value of Bloody Arena. The man defeated the demigod in the underground arena. He was then received by the management alone, and they even vowed to make him the successor of the arena. Wu was surprised. Bloody Arena has a huge flow of people. There are also many different races coming and going every day. Just the MP earned from these people every day. It's not a small amount. Just such a big pie. How could it easily fall on my head? There may be some sneaky tactics hidden in it," he asked cautiously. "Before making a decision, I need to know how many heirs there are to the Bloody Arena. What treatment do the heirs of the Bloody Arena receive after becoming one? What responsibilities do they have to shoulder?" A projection appears before you. Wu, you are not swayed by the immediate benefits. It really surprises me. Since you want answers, I will explain it to you in detail. Currently, there are 349 inheritors in the Bloody Arena, with 221 of them being divinity creatures. There are 118 demigods, 9 genuine deities, and 1 deity. After becoming the inheritor, you will obtain the eternal coordinates of the Bloody Arena. You can perform device-free pinpoint teleportation to any dimension recorded here. Each teleportation costs 1 million MP. Moreover, you will be authorized to establish a special Bloody Arena in the realm to cultivate family dependence. As for the responsibility, when the number of inheritors reaches 500, the Bloody Arena will initiate the inheritance ceremony to select the most outstanding individual to become the master of the Bloody Arena. As an inheritor, you must participate in it. Wu looked pensive. In the style of the underground arena, this ceremony is definitely not simple. It is likely that these 500 individuals will have to fight each other, and the final victor will become the master. I am now the 350th. There is still a lot of time until reaching 500. Perhaps by then, I will have developed into a divine king, the administrator urged. Are you willing? After a moment of thought, Wu nodded after weighing the pros and cons. I'm willing. Soon, a prompt sounded. Congratulations on becoming the 350th successor of the Bloody Arena. As soon as the words fell, a red light shot towards Wu's arm, leaving behind a unique mark on his skin. This is the eternal coordinate of the Bloody Arena. Immediately, a wave of dizziness hit. When Wu appeared again, he was already in the hall. Upon seeing Wu return, Wen Tian immediately stepped forward to greet him. Wu, you are truly my lucky star. We have struck it rich this time. He then placed the phone in Wu's palm. There is already as much as 1 billion MP transferred onto it. I have never seen such a huge wealth in my whole life. Just counting the number of zeros, they are repeated several times. Look at his naive appearance. Wen Tian sighed. Wu, how to spend 1 billion MP is not something you can figure out at once. I suggest you first purchase suitable artifacts. Wu is very different. Right now, I am only a divinity creature, not even a demigod. Can I control an artifact? Wen Tian patted his chest. Teacher, how could I harm you? I just happen to know a shop selling artifacts. I can definitely help you find an artifact that suits you. Wu inwardly complained. This is just perfect. What a coincidence. The man awakened the weakest locust family dependents in history. But he defeated a demigod in a cross-level challenge. For this, that demigod even specially came to find him. Locust Plague, I finally found you. Elephant Lord saw him charging over in a rush. Wu immediately hid behind the homeroom teacher. Teacher, please save me. Wen Tian is also a demigod. Naturally unafraid of Elephant Lord, he spread out his arms to shield Wu. Humph. With me here, who dares to hurt my student? Elephant Lord immediately stopped in his tracks upon seeing the situation. He hurriedly explained. Don't misunderstand. I'm not here for revenge against you. I just came over because I think you have great strength. I want to be friends with you. I'm a first-year student at Jingxi University. My real name is Ming. Upon hearing the words, first year, Wu couldn't help but cough. Who would have thought that a burly man with a full beard is just a college student? Ming Xiang is very interested in Wu. You are not very old. You probably haven't taken the college entrance examination yet. Which preparatory school are you from? Wu answered truthfully. I am not a preparatory student of the college. Just an ordinary high school student. Ming Xiang's eyes almost popped out when he heard that. He thought Wu was not honest, so he repeatedly questioned him. How could he, a demigod himself, possibly lose to a high school student? Wu helplessly pointed to Wen Tian behind him. If you don't believe me, you can ask my homeroom teacher. Wen Tian cleared his throat twice. Locust Plague is indeed not a preparatory student. Although many academies have invited him, he has always only wanted to join Capital Academy. However, the capital was not interested in him. Ming Xiang suddenly realized. He thought to himself that at least the other party was someone who had been invited by many top-tier colleges. Losing to him wouldn't be too embarrassing. Then he patted Wu on the shoulder. I will report your matter to the college. I will ask them to lower the test requirements for you. When you go back, try to improve your core family dependence as much as possible. Maybe you can seize this opportunity to get on the list of prospective students for Capital Academy. Wu was very surprised. Will you really help me? Ming Xiang, however, laughed heartily. You have great potential. The road to becoming a god is long. Having a few partners to rely on naturally makes it easier than going it alone. And I have recommended you to the academy. As long as you pass the test, the school will reward me with some resources. It's a free reward. Why wouldn't I want it? Wu thinks this matter is reliable. Then I will leave it to you. Ming Xiang smiled and said, It's nothing. But to forge iron, you need to be strong yourself. You should invest more resources in core family dependence recently. It's best to cultivate a hero. After all, passing the test of Capital Academy is not an easy task. after saying goodbye to Ming Xiang. When Tian brought Wu to a shop on Wanbao Road that sells items. Without saying a word, when Tian pushed the door open and walked in, what caught his eye was a beautiful demigod receptionist. There was no discrimination against Wu for being a divine being. Are you here to buy items of what grade or to meet which forging master? When Tian appeared to be very experienced, help me contact Master Tony and say that an old acquaintance is visiting. Wu was speechless to himself. Just leave it to Master Tony to give you a haircut. Is he skilled in crafting artifacts? While Wu was complaining, the beautiful receptionist had already led them to a portal. You two, please enter from here. The two locked eyes with each other. And then they entered the portal together. I saw a bald man with a strong and stout body and a wide face, working on the iron. Lao Tian, are the fat sheep you brought this time fat enough? Wu listened and vaguely felt that he was the fat sheep that the other person mentioned. I'm running away now. Is it too late? The student followed the teacher to the shop that sells artifacts. Unexpectedly, as soon as they entered, they heard the boss asking the teacher, "Is the fat sheep brought this time fat enough or not?" Wu instantly understood. It's obvious that he's treating himself as a big fool. Is it still possible to escape now? The homeroom teacher when Tian coughed awkwardly twice. Tony, be serious. They are my students now. Tony scratched his head. Lao Tian students. Then I need to explain the service philosophy of our shop to you. Our shop treats everyone fairly. There are no student discounts. Wu felt like 1,000 grass mud horses were running through his mind upon hearing this. Is this how treating everyone fairly is used? Shouldn't there be a student discount? It's not easy for students to make money. They have to fight in matches to earn 10 billion MP with all their might. When Tian hurriedly explained, Wu, Tony speaks bluntly but is actually kind-hearted. His words may be harsh, but the items he crafts are really good. Tony chuckled and replied, After all these years, I finally hear some honest words from you. He smiled on the surface. But deep down, he was ranting like crazy. Who are you calling a sharp-tongued person? Who do you say speaks harshly? If it weren't for you introducing clients to me, I will just... Shortly after, Tony opened the partition in the exhibition hall. Come on. Let me show you around my works. Inside the exhibition hall, there are hundreds of artifacts on display, each and every one meticulously created by Master Tony with great effort and dedication. These artifacts are all imprinted with my exclusive mark, to prove that they were all created by my own hands. Took a few rounds. When Tian screened the prices of hundreds of artifacts. Then, he explained the advantages and disadvantages to Wu. Wu is considering the next steps. May have to face the assessment imposed by Capital Academy. Fell in love with a 2-stars artifact Gu vessel. This artifact contains a space that can accommodate up to 100,000 insect tribes to perform Gu cultivation ritual. The insects inside will engage in battles, and those who survive will have a chance to evolve into heroes. It can also attract nearby insect tribes. It is currently the most suitable artifact for Wu. When Tian's eyes are full of admiration. Wu does have good taste. Gu vessel does not have powerful abilities. However, it is the most suitable choice. Master Tony immediately handed over his payment code upon hearing the words. For divinity, or 580 million MP. How would you like to make the payment? When Tian stopped Tony and had a conversation with him. Please give me a discount to save face. Otherwise, I could also give you something as a gift. If you don't give me a discount, I might scold you. Master Tony is not someone who is oblivious to advice. He gave Wu a small discount. 6 billion MP plus 10 stars artifact surrendered. Eye of Probe. As the name suggests, it is used to detect biological information. It is priced at 50 million MP on the official website. However, Wu was planning to leave, but was stopped by the boss. Even changed his tune to address you as a valued customer. Here I have a fragment of a lost civilization. I have specially crafted a unique artifact that I think complements your temperament very well. When Tian curiously snatched it away, used demigod's power to examine the effect of artifact, he found out. This spherical artifact turns out to have no effect at all. When Tian lost his temper on the spot. Tony, I treated you as a friend. You treat me as a big fool. I examined this broken ball and found no power at all. Do you really think I dare not lay a hand on you? The poor student visited an artifact shop for the first time. He immediately spent a hefty 6 billion to buy 2 artifacts. The boss quickly changed his words and called him a distinguished customer. He even recommended a special artifact to him. But as a demigod, when Tian could tell at a glance that this golden sphere was useless. Boss Tony quickly explained that this artifact is called Greed Wolf and comes from a long-lost civilization. It grows by devouring other artifacts. And it can inherit the powers of the artifacts it devours, causing anger from dozens of civilizations. It will forever disappear into the long river of history. The store is offering a great promotion now. This artifact from a lost civilization is now available for only 10 billion MP. What are you hesitating for? Wu's first reaction is that it's too cheap. An artifact that led to the downfall of a powerful civilization. What a joke. Tony knows what he is struggling with. He explained proactively. In fact, this artifact is incomplete. It has some minor flaws. It can still grow by consuming artifacts, but the efficiency will be 10 times slower. It can only inherit some passive effects and cannot inherit the accompanying divine magic. When Tian on the side bluntly said, "Isn't this just a piece of junk?" Tony was very angry. "Old Tian, you can insult my character, but you cannot insult." After thinking for a moment, Wu decided, "I'll buy this artifact. I'll offer 4 billion MP. When Tian was anxious. "Wu, 4 billion is not a small amount. Even if you're rich, you shouldn't spend money recklessly like this." In fact, Wu was thinking from a reverse perspective. If one were to acquire an artifact from an enemy that cannot be tamed or destroyed, Greed Wolf's devouring power could just consume it. This would also be a way to weaken the enemy's power. He explained to Wen Tian, "Teacher Tian, I really admire the artifact created by Master Tony. With just a fragment, he was able to forge Greed Wolf. I am willing to use all my MP to support his forging. But the problem is, I am too poor. I only have 400 million MP left." I wonder if Master Tony would be willing to compromise. It may seem like an explanation, but in reality, it's actually praise and bargaining. However, Master Tony seems to be enjoying it. He touched his own bald head. Finally sold it to Wu for 4 billion MPs. No amount of money can buy a true confidant. The artifact Greed Wolf belongs to you now. Tony, a master blacksmith, pursues artistry and recognition above all else. He feels the Wu, and truly appreciates the power of this artifact. The scene shifts. Wu has already teleported back home. He immediately began the ritual to claim ownership of the 3 artifacts. According to the instructions accompanying the artifacts, he dripped his blood separately on 3 artifacts, turning into tiny threads of blood spreading on the surface of the artifact. The first to complete the acknowledgement as the master is the 0 stars artifact I a probe instrument spirit transforming into a golden firefly flying towards Wu. Next is the 2 stars artifact Gu vessel instrument spirit, which is a frog. It leaped out of the vessel with a swoosh. The frog opened its mouth wide and croaked loudly. Wu immediately commanded 100,000 elite locusts to fly into its mouth for refinement. Results are expected to come out in a day. However, the artifact Greed Wolf remained motionless. Wu sensed the message that its blood was not enough. "Damn. You're a vampire." The man dripped blood onto the artifact. Suddenly, it emitted bursts of light. Soon, a wolf pup that looked like a Siberian husky appeared in front of my eyes. That is the instrument spirit of artifact Greed Wolf. Wu frowned involuntarily. He thought to himself, "Is this really Greed Wolf? But why does it look more and more like a Siberian husky? Without waiting for him to think further, the wolf pup suddenly started howling. It seemed like it wanted artifact as its food. Wu pondered in his heart. Was it influenced by gluttony code right after being summoned? But my ancestors, I am so broke that I'm almost eating dirt. Where can I find any artifacts? But it won't do to not feed right after being summoned. So Wu casually threw out a pure energy crystal. Unexpectedly, the wolf pup was as cheerful as a little dog. It suddenly jumped up and bit the energy crystal. After finishing these tasks, Wu meditated on the spot, thinking of the family dependents in the realm. With the repair and upgrade of the gluttony code, the family dependents of locusts have been greatly affected. They are eating wildly. Locusts are evolving every moment. And the other 4 ordinary family dependents are living enriched lives. The red dwarfs are mining and forging iron. The Minotaur clan is forging new totems. Iron-cutting Swordwind is comprehending skills. And Skeleton Tribe is gnawing on the dazzling skeleton crystal. Wu is very satisfied with the family dependents. The gluttony code has now been repaired to level 3. Just by eating, one can evolve into elite. If further repaired, upgrade, it can make ordinary life evolve into otherworldly life. In this way, my locusts, under conditions of abundant food, can't all employees be promoted to otherworldly life? That's tens of billions of otherworldly life. A few days later, the number of locusts in Wu's realm has surged to 14 billion. It's time to start a new round of sacrifices. He only kept 1 billion otherworldly life locusts for future use. Then all 13 billion locusts were donated for inspection. At this moment, the situation in the realm is ever-changing. A huge sacrifice ritual circle shrouds the entire area. Countless locusts have turned into streams of life energy, converging into the ritual circle. The rewards that appeared before Wu quickly earned his praises. Is this the reward for sacrificing 13 billion locusts? Indeed, it is so much better than before. 10,000 Nightmare Hunter Otherworldly Life. Option 2. The 3 stars artifact Dominion Steel Blade serves as both an artifact and a holy relic. It functions as a level 3 holy relic. Additionally, there is a chance for level 2 holy relic enlightenment stone core family dependents to be enlightened into a semi-human form. After reading the description, Wu didn't hesitate and directly chose option 3. Because being in a semi-human form means family dependents can use weapons just like humans. For example, Minotaur, Lizardfolk, and even Ratfolk belong to semi-humanoid races. But common does not mean semi-humanoid is inferior. If locusts evolve into semi-humanoid form, they can use weapons. Combined with top-notch aerial power, that's definitely an air force. As the level 2 holy relic is loaded into the realm core, a strong light descends from the sky and pierces into Wu's realm. Soon, billions of locusts rush into the beam of light. Roughly 1 in 1,000, about 1 million locusts, are affected by the Enlightenment Stone. The man crushed the Enlightenment Stone of the level 2 holy relic. Let 1 million locusts in the realm evolve into a humanoid form. That is a new type of species. Not only do they have humanoid bodies, but they also have acquired primitive intelligence. And the semi-humanoid form can use weapons. This is a huge advancement for Wu. After these locusts metamorphose into humanoid locusts, it became an otherworldly life in one leap. It can also produce higher quality locust eggs. Even the faith energy has reached fanatical believer level. Each humanoid locust can produce almost 2 MP points during its life cycle. Just as Wu is immersed in joy, the homeroom teacher Wen Tian sent a video call request. After the call connected, Wen Tian said that Jingxi College issued a notice to retest Wu. Tomorrow, an admissions officer will come to the school to test him. All of this is within Wu's expectations, because demigod Elephant Lord Mingxiang had promised to help him. Arrived at the school, Sun Tzu, on the other hand, came up to him. This time he put down the pride of being a noble family member. How has your realm been developing recently? If you lack resources, you can tell me. Some scarce resources cannot be bought online. My family has many demigods. There are some connections available. Wu asked tentatively.